Hi guys, my name is Amanda Lundgren. I'm taking the Interpersonal Communications course. I currently work as an addictions counselor for CADT at the Duluth Detox. I wanted to discuss with you all one of the most important things I found in taking this class, and that would be communication and conflict styles and how they're passed through generations. I decided to dive in and get a better understanding since we had did the discussion about our own conflict styles, and many of us had talked about our history of childhood and what we had observed from our parents and their styles, and I could really relate, so it resonated with me. I also have 3 children, 2 daughters and my nephew, so I kind of found it very interesting, and I wanted to get a better understanding of how it affects children. So I found some studies on the internet and dove into some analyst papers and did all that. So the communication and conflict styles are passed through generations. It's been proven that family is the #1 primary source of observing communication patterns and conflict styles. Also, there's the social learning theory, and that's how individuals learn by observing and imitating others. And that's primarily what children observe is through their parents or caregivers. Family is the biggest influence in the ways that children learn by watching their parents have disagreements in their families. Studies across generations had observed, especially with mothers and daughters, that it's one of the most primary focuses of relations with them. It's one of the most profound, and I can relate to that because having children is very important. However, with mothers and their mothers, as in my mother and her mother, their styles were a lot different, and I think that's also related to past history of not discussing communications or having healthy patterns. The studies that I observed had proven that current generations are improving and finding more value in relationships, and I think that's a really good sign. So in class we talked about the type of conflict styles, which would be competing, with one party seeking to satisfy interest regarding of impact of other parties, collaborating with both parties, being concerned about each other, compromising, both parties win and give up something, avoiding, one or both parties seek to support the conflict, and accommodating, one party will yield to win to the other party. So my conflict style now currently is collaborating. That's what I ranked highest when we had did the study in class. Some of the traits of this conflict style are high level of concern for others, high level of one's own goals, finding solutions to problems. So I'm really solution based, enhancing the quality of relationships. I think those are pretty solid when it comes to what explains my own personal self. So in my youth, my conflict would be avoiding, shying away from confrontation or disagreements. I'd just run away, avoid them at all cost. I was very withdrawn from others, especially when it came to arguments. I would change the subject or just avoid issues altogether. I had a strong fear of upsetting others, and I had excessive people-pleasing behaviors. That's a trait that I still continue to carry on, which I'm trying to work on, every day to maintain better communication and conflict skills. So, like I said earlier, the discussion post had really it impacted me because I could relate to a lot of others. So if you could just take a moment and think about your past, history with your parents or guardians, and how did their conflict styles or communication styles impact your own. Some of the key instances, in your youth, what can you recall that shaped your style? And can you think of 2 solid examples? The 2 solid examples that I think about that still kind of affect me today, that affected me and my conflict styles, especially during my younger years, was the way my parents would handle conflict by shouting, like screaming, getting in verbal altercations. It really scared me. They were also very neglectful in their parenting, not asking how my day was. They would get mad if I would talk to them without them, talking to me. It was just really a whole avoiding wanting to discuss anything. And that really lowered my self-worth. So I think that what kind of impacted me as a child would be like, the witnessing and escalating conflicts, the yelling and the shouting, not resolving issues, the witnessing of physical altercations, and then their neglectful tendencies, as well as like ignoring me, and then their alcohol abuse. I think that really impacted in me developing my conflict style through my youth, that I had to learn how to grow out of and learn healthy conflict styles. I think a lot of the reasons why, and personally I can relate on this, is why, children might develop these styles is because they're trying to maintain a sense of peace. They want to protect themselves from further harm or like emotional distress. You learn to suppress emotions because you don't understand them, because having, the neglectful conflict style, you just don't address any issues like that. Some other unhealthy characteristics that can develop are aggressive behaviors, bullying, intimidating, even becoming like physically aggressive, passive aggressive as well. You start to prioritize the needs of others, and you lack the ability to create strong, healthy boundaries, which I can also relate on. It took me quite a long time to establish good, healthy boundaries. I want to discuss why it's important to know the impact of observing conflict styles, especially in the youth, and comparing them to historical conflict styles, because it's important to build strong relationships, in our children or younger children that you may know, by teaching children how to actively listen, build empathy towards others, and give them the perspective to see what others are going through. Also, healthy conflict resolution skills can be give them the ability to better navigate disagreements in different relationships or situations. Also, it boosts self-esteem, which I talked about earlier, how it had affected my self-esteem. It gives them the ability to be assertive with their needs and build confidence. Another thing would be enhancing their problem-solving skills, to be able to compromise and brainstorm. It promotes the emotional intelligence and self-awareness to understand that their emotions and behaviors can affect other people. And importantly, it prepares them for the future, for their academics, their careers, and in their personal relationships. By modeling healthy conflict resolution, we can equip our children with the necessary tools to navigate through life. And I think by finding this kind of self-awareness and by being able to understand our own conflict strategies and how we have developed them, we can better show our generations more important ways on how to handle things. Thank you.